These hearings and investigations demonstrated that Operation Midway Blitz was not an unfortunate collection of errors in judgment or limited abuses of power by individual bad actors. It was a carefully orchestrated, coordinated effort that started with Donald Trump and was executed by Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, Greg Bovino, and others. The hearings this week laid out the direct impacts of specific directives that they gave to federal agents on the ground. The invasions of our neighborhoods by masked agents in unmarked vehicles during Operation Midway Blitz was not simply a failure to follow proper protocol. And let me be clear, while a few of the leaders of this effort have been fired, very few, the architects of it remain in power. Step one of their plan was to militarize our streets, bringing roving patrols with tactical gear to peaceful neighborhoods to abuse our people. Step two was to suppress lawful dissent, to use tear gas and brutality, to punish those who dared speak up against the occupation or speak up for their neighbors. And step three was to immunize lawlessness, give federal agents a pass to do whatever they please without fear of repercussions. And as we saw time and time again in the Commission's investigation, they not only gave agents a pass, leaders praised the agents' violence. Make no mistake, the devastation and the abuse that you saw in Lakeview and in Little Village, in Brighton Park, Pilsen, East Side, were not accidents or aberrations from a plan. They were the plan.
He just named them by name, on camera. Trump, Miller, Noem, Homan, Bovino. Not as suspects, as architects. This wasn't a slip. This was a governor standing in front of two former federal judges, backed by 6 months of evidence, 60 eyewitnesses, and hundreds of hours of video, and pointing directly at the people who gave the orders. While Washington runs out the clock, Illinois built a record. And that record says this was not a rogue operation. It was the plan. If you want this tracked every day, hit subscribe, because now, watch how they got there.
Thank you very much to Judge Holmes and Judge Castillo, and good morning, everyone. It has been nearly 8 months since President Trump launched Operation Midway Blitz, a military-style assault on Illinois. Throughout the operations of it, our communities and our people were subjected to an unprecedented campaign of harassment, intimidation, and brutality. Trump's masked, uniformed ICE and CBP agents detained innocent American citizens and legal residents, along with people who are undocumented, very few of which fit into a category of the worst of the worst. They used unmarked cars and a Blackhawk helicopter, carried automatic weapons and battering rams to use against our communities and their homes. They deployed tear gas and smoke grenades against peaceful protesters and peaceful crowds and in peaceful neighborhoods. They committed flagrant and egregious abuses of power and force that went unchecked. When none of the supervisors, agency leaders, cabinet secretaries, or the President of the United States was willing to stop these attacks or hold the perpetrators accountable, I created the Illinois Accountability Commission. The commission engaged former prosecutors and active attorneys and experts on law enforcement and immigration to conduct a thorough investigation of Operation Midway Blitz. It collected evidence and a public record of the abuses and breaches of people's rights, and it took testimony of the traumatic impact on our communities. And the commission is recommending actions to pursue justice and to prevent further harm. I want to take a moment just to thank the members of the commission. Of course, I've mentioned the leadership of Judge Ruben Castillo and Judge Patricia Brown Holmes, all of you, the service that you have given to the state of Illinois and your bravery are so much appreciated. I also want to thank the staff of the commission who worked long hours, and all of the staff within my administration who did the same, who contributed to this effort. It makes us all proud that we have public servants willing to stand up, do the right thing, and do the hard work to hold people accountable. Thank you also to the foundations, to the academic institutions, to legal institutions, advocates, and civic leaders and volunteers who devoted resources to this endeavor. This was truly a communal endeavor. And finally, I want to express my profound gratitude to the brave individuals who gave eyewitness testimony. That was hard to do. Over the course of 6 months, the Commission conducted 16 in-depth investigations into flashpoint incidents, spoke with nearly 60 eyewitnesses, held 7 private community listening sessions, and reviewed hundreds of hours of video footage, much of it never before seen. Over the course of 5 public hearings, the Commission presented the evidence to the public. In 2 hearings earlier this week, the extent of the investigative work was put on full display for the world. We saw harrowing video evidence of some of ICE and CBP's most egregious abuses of power. We heard independent eyewitness accounts of the terror. We witnessed heartbreaking, powerful testimony from some of the individuals who were the direct target of these agents, and the neighbors and upstanding people who tried to prevent violence. Many of them were swept up by the masked federal agents. On Tuesday, the Commission heard from Marimar Martinez, who courageously shared her experience in her quest for change. Ms. Martinez, as you heard, was shot 5 times by a Border Patrol agent who followed her to the hospital and into her hospital room. Agents came while she was being treated. And then only hours later, that very same day, they took her from the hospital. They arrested her and charged her with assault. And of course, the charges were later dropped because guess what? There was no basis for them in the first place. If you haven't seen the hearings, I want to encourage you to watch them. They are available for replay on the IAC website. Share them. Share them with your community. Share them with people that you know. Pass them on. Ask others to pass them on. We can't let Americans forget the offenses that happened here in our cities. They are an erosion of the most precious principles of our republic. Beyond the headlines and the propaganda are real people, members of our communities, whose lives were and continue to be upended by the chaos that's been brought by the federal government. We cannot be quiet until there is accountability and justice. Once again, I truly want to express my gratitude to the witnesses for their courage, using their voices, sharing their videos, sharing their personal testimony.
A woman was shot 5 times. She was followed into her hospital room. She was arrested while being treated. The charges were dropped because there was nothing there to charge. No federal agent has been disciplined. No federal investigation has been opened. The men who gave the orders are still in their jobs. That is what immunity looks like when it is handed down from the top. Pritzker did not speculate about that. He documented it. 6 months, 16 investigations, 60 witnesses. The evidence is now sitting on the desks of 5 local prosecutors and police departments. The Cook County State's attorney has already been called out on camera by a former federal judge for finding excuses not to act. Judge Castillo said it plainly. She could have recused herself and let a special prosecutor in. She didn't. The federal government dismantled the oversight. Illinois rebuilt it from scratch. And now that record exists, and it is not going away.
Sorry.
I'm trying to understand here because I think there's a pressure to try to do this judges are not making this easy. They want the full basket of evidence, which they don't have yet. So there's on one side of the ledger, let's do this now. There's a feeling of we want to do this now. And there's the other side of we want to do it when we have all of the evidence to secure a win. How do those two things sort of balance out in your mind?
I'm glad you said in your mind, because I'm going to tell you what my mind says. Because, 25 years of being a judge, 4 years as a prosecutor, all I see, first of all, the premise of your question, rush the judgment, there's no rush. There's no statute of limitations on killing someone or trying to kill someone. You could prosecute that any day. So if the state's attorney wants to look at this for a year, that's up to her. But to say that she's not going to look at it at all, that she's not going to investigate it at all I hear, again, in my opinion, are a bunch of excuses. When the mayor tried to put together a protocol to feed her the evidence, the state's attorney had a problem with that. When there was an effort on the part of individuals to have a special prosecutor appointed, which she could have easily recused herself, stepped aside, let the special prosecutor go in and she or he would take their lumps, if that's what's going to happen, she could have done that. But again, she comes back to, well, no one has stepped forward and said they're a victim and complain. Well, Mr. Villegas-Gonzalez is not in a position to complain. He's dead. And Ms. Martinez has complained plenty. And she came before us on Tuesday and says she wants accountability. I don't think it could be plainer than that this should be investigated. If it takes 2 or 3 years, that's on the investigator. If a special prosecutor is appointed and she or he takes 2 years, that's fine. There is no rush to judgment, but there should be a judgment about whether or not somebody committed a crime, and that's all we're saying.
That was a former federal judge. 25 years on the bench, 4 years as a prosecutor. And what he just described, plainly on the record, is a system running interference for the people who gave the orders. No statute of limitations, no missing evidence, a victim who testified and said on camera she wants accountability, a special prosecutor option that was refused, and still, nothing. Here is what the record now shows. A woman was shot 5 times by a federal agent. A man is dead. Masked agents with automatic weapons ran roving patrols through peaceful neighborhoods. Tear gas hit peaceful crowds. Leaders didn't just allow it, they praised it. The architects are still in their jobs. Tom Homan is still the border czar. Stephen Miller is still in the building. Kristi Noem is still running DHS. Illinois did not wait for Washington to act. It built the case, named the names, documented the abuses, and delivered the evidence to every prosecutor with jurisdiction. That evidence doesn't expire, and the people named in that report know it. When accountability finally comes, and it will come, they will not be able to say they didn't know. They were named, on camera, by a sitting governor, with 2 former federal judges standing behind him. That record is not going anywhere.